I get what you're saying.
Okay.
I expect more out of stand-up. So, you know, you can lower your bar and live in that and accept all that. And that's fine with me. I don't care. But to tell me that, you know, who am I to judge? I'm me to judge. Now, if you want to, you know, exist and watch stand-up be watered down to any moron that can talk to a room full of morons, that's fine. I mean, I think everybody should be able to. I mean, I think crowd work's an important tool, usually for crowd management. You should know how to do it in case shit goes down in the room. But, you know, a fairly clever teenager can do crowd work. I did it in high school. So my judgment about crowd work as a comic is I think it's very funny. I can do it if I want to do it. I can do it if I need to do it. But I do think, you know, if you keep lowering the bar and audiences are expecting you to just talk to them, that's not the comedy that I respect or that I want to do. And I think that, you know, once everything loses its meaning because of this flow you're talking about, that it becomes the mediocrity is just abound, and also things that are great just kind of go away with the flow. There's so much shit.
Can I ask you your opinion? I've also been seeing, not about crowd work, but I've been seeing like Jeselnik having an issue with people like Tony Hinchcliffe, who he's saying uses profanity or just shock value comedy. What's your thoughts on that? Well,
at this point, it's lazy and sloppy and hackneyed. You know, to be in a fucking club where, you know, I'm walking down the hall at the comedy club, at the Comedy Store, and, you know, in one room, someone's doing their bit about trans people, and then I get down the hall and there's someone on stage going, well, I guess I got to do my bit about trans people. Like, no, you don't. You don't. It's hack now. I mean, you know, you guys got the freedom you wanted. You can now say whatever you want. They're defeated. Their rights have been denied. The policies that you guys encouraged with your stupid material are now policy. And now, like, you know, half the people under the umbrella of anti-woke, we've lost a tremendous amount of democratic-leaning ideas and movements. So whether they knew it or not, that's what they were spearheading. So now it's reality, and you want to still keep kicking them? Go ahead.
I don't know that the comedians have had that much power.
Are you fucking out of your mind?
No, I'm being serious.
Joe Rogan. I'm not gonna.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You know, you can't separate. Like, if the movement is like, you know, we're being censored. No, you're not. You're not. There's no constitutional censorship issue with your free speech. You say things, and in a democratic shit show of an environment, you know, like Twitter or whatever, there's cultural pushback. And I'm not saying that it wasn't, it was pretty bad in terms of, you know, people getting canceled and stuff, and I agree that was an issue, but that's a specific issue. To frame it as some sort of free speech problem was a misdirect. It wasn't. It wasn't a free speech problem. It was that people were getting cultural pushback. That is not a constitutional issue. No one was being put in jail for saying anything. That's a free speech issue. But my problem is you're going to start talking about anti-woke, and that's going to be your point of view. That's going to be your ideological, you know, grounding for what you do. Okay, that's fine. But why does it have to be the same four fucking things? You know, it's like they talk about the same shit. And I don't know a better definition of hack. I mean, after a certain point, it's like, you know, so what juice does the word retard really have? How much shit do you have to give trans people? You know, what is your big problem with gay people? What's your big problem with women? It's like, what is this, the fucking 80s again? And it's so, to me, the problem is that language evolves. Okay, we don't use the word chink anymore. Well, maybe some of them do. You don't use the word oriental anymore. You know, you don't use the word colored anymore. Is that, you know, in a democratic world, people learn to treat other people with respect, communities, and live with it. Look, I think you can say whatever you want. I don't care. I have no, you know, I've been filthy. I've said all the bad things on stage. I've been doing this a long time under the radar in a lot of ways, and I've tried everything. I've done things that were inappropriate on stage. I've said things that were inappropriate on stage, and my experience with people receiving those things and talking to people, and I've evolved the way I present comedy. I think when you talk about Jeselnik, he's just saying that, isn't there a creativity workaround that could be funny without creating this juice that just comes from using words that used to be kind of triggering and are less now because the dominant cultural force is now slightly fascistic and leaning towards alienating those voices. So now that we've crossed that hump into what we are now, aren't you just kicking someone when they're down and just being a hack? because there is no real progressive pushback anymore. They've won. Right. So that side has won. They've won culture, and they've won the presidency. And now you have a lot of frightened people that believe in what was once democracy in terms of respecting all types of people. That's kind of gone. So do you continue along that track of like you being the victim of some liberal conspiracy when it clearly is over? I don't know. So maybe I stand with Jeselnik. If you connect all this anti-elitism, anti-Hollywood talk to right-wing ideology and propaganda, what has happened now is that old-time show business is anemic. It's dead.
Yes.
And so, what's happened is, and in a good way, entrepreneurial way, which is, sort of, your bag, is that, you can start your own show business. And you can find your own audience,
right?
And that all seemed pretty good. But if a lot of, and these are comics, if the audience that you build has decided they know what real comedy is, they know that woke people suck, they know that whatever scientists are liars, they know that whatever the ideological foundation of that audience is, if you're a comic at the tip of that iceberg and you're championing that just by being funny and then skirting the responsibility by saying like, yeah, I'm just a comic, my fans are my fans, then I think you're being disingenuous or stupid. I do think that comedy or certain comedians have a great deal of cultural weight now. Improvising is not crowd work. If you have the freedom of mind to speak your mind on stage out of years of trial and error, and you live up there, that's different than relying on the ability to bust balls on easy pickings in the front row.